I started my journey with the SMEs in 2015, where I was working with the SEFA Enterprise Development. We were doing the back office support for SMEs, supporting them with accounting services, also with any other business development support they need, or business plans, reviewing them and writing them up. Financial statements, as we know, our businesses tend to struggle when it comes to financial statements. We'll also do returns for them, whether it's VAT, tax, or UIF returns, and we then would also assist in the financial forecastings of their businesses. Not sure if you want to see my video. I joined SEFA in 2017, starting at finance. Then I moved up to the operations hub up until 2022, where I became the Youth Challenge fund manager. And I've been in this role for more than for a year and a half now. Still continuing, trying to inspire young entrepreneurs, provide opportunities, share opportunities with them that are available out there for the youth. I'm not sure if I've covered everything, Tato.
Yes, you have quite an extensive background. Thank you, sir. We can now go into the Youth Challenge Fund, just understanding that. And you're welcome to share your screen if you wish. Otherwise, it would still be great to see your face if you're okay with that. Thank you.
I'm trying to share the screen. I'm looking for the presentation.
Okay, well noted.
Just lost it a bit. Sharing now. Please let me know when you see it.
We do see it, sir. Thank you. If you may full screen.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys. Yeah, so that I do not get disturbed by cut off, I will just switch off the video for now. Maybe during question and answer, I'll switch it on. But for presentation purposes, I'll only just put the screen on. Okay, guys, the Youth Challenge Fund is an initiative by the Department of Small Business Development in partnership with the EU ESG Support Program, implemented by SEFA for funding support, and then CEDA for the developmental side of things. The main objective of this fund was to support youth startups that are formally registered, and also support promising young entrepreneurs that already have businesses to scale up and to grow their businesses, and also to increase capacity to access economic opportunities for these youth-owned businesses, and for them to be competitive, as we know that the rate of failure of startups in South Africa is high, and especially amongst the youth. So this fund was there to support the youth. It is there to support the youth-owned businesses. We also want these youth-owned businesses to contribute to societal needs like employment creation, poverty alleviation, and also reduce inequality, and to bridge the funding gap that already exists in the market. As you know, there are not too many funds that are dedicated for youth, especially for the operation side. It tends to be more on the support side, but this fund, it is to bridge that gap. These are the objective of this fund, is to promote youth startups in the technology and innovation space. As we know, there are a whole lot of graduates that have great ideas, or not just graduates, but youth with great ideas, but then they cannot take them to the market. What we do on this one is that once you piloted your project, have a proof of concept, and then we are post the development side. You want to go to the market, we support you to take you to the market. Also, as I indicated, to address the difficulty to access finance for youth-owned businesses, support any adjustment that you might need in your business and to improve the viability and competitiveness of the business. This is what we want to achieve with this fund: increase the number of youth startups and also those that are already existing for them not to fade, increase the number of youth-owned businesses that have access to funding, and create employment through these youth-owned businesses. This is how the fund looks like. The fund has a startup limit of 2 million and a growth limit, maximum limit of up to 15 million. This is how it looks. We have two sector channels that is sector specific. We've got the red channel that focuses on technology, innovation, and the green economy. And under this sector, especially in the tech space, as indicated, your product must be at the commercial stage. And then we have the blue channel that focuses on other services, which is your logistics, your franchising, your manufacturing. And most of our money that we have invested already, it has gone to special logistics, followed by franchising. Franchising is your service stations and your restaurants, steers, and the rest. And this is through the current transformation that is happening under this sector, where operation rights for the franchise are given to youth-owned businesses and also to women-owned businesses. So guys, that is a sector that you must seek to find opportunities on, and also the logistics sector, as much as it's becoming saturated. That is also where our investment went, and followed by manufacturing. And the startup limit is 2 million. Under the red channel, we have a startup limit of 2 million. And then the funding is that you get 60% loan and 40% grant. Under the blue channel is 70% loan, 30% grant. And then, as I indicated, if you are coming, you've been operating for some time, then you have moved up of startup level, you want to go for bigger space to operate on, or you have identified a new market, you can come for the 15 million funding limit. It's 80% loan and 20% grant across both channels, because we feel like you're skin in the game, you have walked this journey, so you do not need any assistance as compared to the tech, compared to the startups. The interest rate is fixed at 5%, guys. I always say that this is the cheapest finance we'll ever get anywhere else in this country. We have a grant and a fixed 5% interest rate. These are our targeted sectors, but they are not limited to these sectors, guys. As you know, that the business world is very broad. There might be a sector that we are not aware that is bubbling up. So as long as it's commercial, it's legal, we can look at it. ICT sector under the red channel, retail, the franchising, agro-processing and agro-business, creative industry. You must show a level of commercial viability, and health and wellness, light manufacturing, energy renewables and recycling. As you know, that is the buzzword currently, the green economy. And yeah, these, as indicated, these are proposed sectors that the idea must, innovative idea must, demonstrate a competitive advantage with initial traction, and must have a potential to scale up. Also on the blue channel is almost the same: value proposition, a clear focus, value proposition, identified market traction, and a credible owner or team. This fund has a pre-investment and post-investment side through the non-financial support. Pre-investment is done at SEDA, where they prepare your business to be funding ready. Post-investment is done at SEFA, where after we have funded you, we appoint a mentor that is paid by us for you to benefit from. If we identify a weakness in your business, then the mentor, let's say you have a potential of attracting more customers, then the mentor will come in and train you on how to do such. And then if you have issues with your financial statements, the way you handle cash, to bring in someone who has expertise in those issues. And then even if maybe you need an industry-specific mentor, we do appoint that mentor for a certain period of time, depending on the needs of the business. This is the qualifying criteria, ages between 18 and 35, sorry, registered with CIPC, which is very important, and SARS. This is government's money, so you cannot to be seen not to be compliant with the government statutory bodies, because this money comes from government, comes from taxpayers, so you cannot just give money to someone that is not compliant with any of those. 100% South African owned. This is created for South African youth. Be adequately involved in the day-to-day operations of the business and the management of thereof, and be a full-time employee of the business, especially the main applicant. We do not find side hustle guys. We also do not find businesses that are youth for the sake of being youth. The person behind the business is just someone who's not youth, but then they're bringing in youth to qualify. We disqualify those type of businesses, because this fund is not created for such. Be prepared to participate in business development support and a mentorship, both the pre and post. We fund commercially viable, sustainable, and also a feasible business idea. This is what we fund under the fund: asset finance, where we purchase vehicles for you, purchase a machinery, purchase an equipment that you might need, or any other asset that your business might need for it to operate at its optimal level. This is done through an installment sale agreement, where the asset purchase belongs to SEFA up until it's fully paid. If you have issues in paying the asset, come to us. We negotiate a new payment term. If then you don't do that, and also there are no, we see that we won't be able to recover anything from you, we'll take the asset, auction it, and then we settle your balance. But if there's still a balance left, you will be liable for it. Asset must be insured. In an instance of a vehicle, it must be fitted with the tracker. We also fund through a term loan. A term loan is for the use of maybe any other assets that doesn't fall part of the installment sale. Maybe just a laptop, and then it kind of costly to have a laptop to contract an installment sale. We just buy it under this term loan. Also, working capital requirements like labor costs, purchase of stock, payment of rent, we cover that. And also for, let's say you want to purchase an existing business, we also cover that, but the business must show signs of commercial viability. These are the common pitfalls that we tend to find. These are not limited to these that are listed there. Incorrect dates on the forms and documents, documents that are not eligible. People just put in an application, and then we require financial statements, and they just decide to put an ID copy so that we can finish with the application process. Then when you are processing, you find out none of the documents that are required have been submitted, then the application can be declined, or will ask for those documents. But then if certain time passes without you sharing those documents, and then we will move on with your applications, because you must remember that you are competing with other thousands of people that want the same opportunity as you. So if your stuff is not complete, it's either you get declined, or you go back at the back of the queue. Information that is not clear, especially the ID copies, where you could not make out your face or what is written there, correct name, applications, attachment, as I had indicated. We ask for financial statements, we provide an ID copy, we just provide a blank documents. Business plan that do not provide essential information. When you have a business plan, you must make sure that you've done a market research, you know who your customer is, and then also your financial forecastings must match what you are saying you have in your content. Stuff like that are very important. And also incomplete submissions. And this is other eligibility criteria that applies to other SEFA product. Natural person, that means a South African citizen. with a valid South African ID or a naturalized person as per the Triple B Act on number 53 of 2003. Juristic person, that means a registered company. Finance operations must be within South African borders, controlling stake held by South African citizen with a South African ID copy. At least staff complement consists of at least 95%. At least one member must, shareholder must be involved, and then if there are more than one member, at least one must be an employee of the business so that he's aware of the activities in the business, because it's things, sometimes some businesses will go down because there was mismanagement and stuff like that. Ability to generate a level of developmental impact as per the SEFA corporate plan, that is job maintenance and creation and economic empowerment. Business must show a sign of sustainability and be commercially viable with a specific reference to repay the loan. Risk-taking by the entrepreneur is welcome through own financial contribution, equity, and personal suretyship. This is not always the requirement, but these are advantageous to your business if you have them. Exclusions, speculative real estate. This is where you buy a property, renovate it and sell it with not fund. People under debt review and rehabilitated insolvent business rescue liquidation, we do not fund. But then if you are just only listed and your debts are still active, you can go and negotiate with your creditor, and then you get a letter that says that you have negotiated with the creditor, and then pay at least 3 installments before you start with the application process. Do not start with the application process and then go to your to your creditors. Start by negotiating with creditors, pay and keep those proof, as they might prove they might assist you very well during the application stage. Morally reprehensive sectors we do not fund, which is alcohol, prostitution, gambling, and only other related activities. We do not fund the manufacturing and the distribution of arms and ammunition, labor brokering activities, or also businesses that are transgressing tax, accounting, hereditary requirements, environmental legislation. Individuals that are listed under SEFA and IDC as delinquents. That means that you come and apply for funding at SEFA, you get granted funding, you do not pay or service your debt, then you go on and apply somewhere else, you won't be funded, or vice versa, because we check with the other institutions if you are a good payer. If you're not, then you won't be able to be assisted. From those that want to acquire a business, we only acquire going concern, guys, not a loss-making business. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the Youth Challenge Fund is all about. Then you can get us, if you want more information, you can call on this number there on the switchboard. They will explain to you what is available for you as an entrepreneur at SEFA. If you have application that you haven't gotten any feedback on, at least after 8 weeks, you go there, you call that, you send your application number with your complaint at helpline, or you can also send, or the helpline is for the query, and then complaints is for the complaints of not receiving communication or feedback for any of our regional offices that you might have applied at. Available on Twitter for all the information and any new developments at SEFA. We put them there. Any events that might be closer to where you are, we have them on our social media pages, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For those that want to apply, can go to www.sefa.org.za, where you will then be able to create a profile on a portal. And then after creating a profile, then you have access to that portal during your application stage. You can come in and out of that portal. But once you start the application process, you are given 20 days to complete the process. When you complete the process, it means that you have received an application number. If you haven't received an application number, that means that you never applied, you just inquired, or you just only registered on the portal. So guys, you must know the difference, because some other people will create a profile on the portal, and then believe that they have applied. You only apply once you have an application number. It says app 0 something with some few digits, about 5 digits. Once you receive that, you must know that you have an application in SEFA. Thank you, Tato. I think that's all. I can take questions or any other.
Thank you so much, sir. That's very informative. There was quite a lot in there. And if you do have any questions, please do raise your hand and you'll be allowed to speak. So while we have our attendees just gather up their questions, just wanted to understand in terms of, I mean, we know that the youth, there are a lot of youth in our country, right? It's the majority, the population. So how many applications can you really take? Is it defined by quantity or a certain budget? Also, you're muted if you are responding.
Okay, we this current moment it will be depending on the budget and also on the quality that we receive, because just the previous financial year we received 1,608 applications, but then a lot have been rejected because they could not meet the requirements. But then when we reject with what you call with recommendations. So up until the fund is fully utilized, the what you call the funding window will always be open.
Thank you very much. That was also a pre-question regarding, you know, when to apply. So if it's always open, I'm sure now that question has been answered. We have a question in the chat. Jared, noted your hand. Please keep it up. We have an anonymous question. Good day. My question is regarding an application that was submitted for the 2023 YCF. A consultant was appointed at SEFA and was working with me, but when the application reached due diligence, I was then told that focus has been reprioritized. How do I get feedback on this, or do I need to submit a new application in 2024? How do we follow up on feedback?
Tato, the applicant can share the application number with you, and then I'll follow up application number and their email address. Then I'll follow up and the name of the person that they were working with, because that project has passed. And also, meaning when they say they are prioritizing another fund, that doesn't mean that everything has to stop altogether. But please, can they share the information with you? Then I'll follow up on their behalf.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, sir. We have our business desk chair, Alwyn Nell, on the line. So thank you very much, Chair, for joining us. So I would just like to take his hand, as he's obviously quite integral in this process through the BMF on that national level. So thank you. Can you speak now? Let's see. Just a moment. Sir, are you able to unmute?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Tato, and Zolisanani, for taking time and share such valuable information with us. As Tato was saying, I'm the chairperson of the SMME committee within BMF, and all these things, of course, is integral to us driving the SMME process. I just wanted to know when there is a project, let's say of a building nature, that we came across a project of building nature. It straddles all 9 provinces, and it is a kind of franchise concept that we want to engage and for funding. Just broadly, your parameters, you were saying under franchising, you go for your kind of steers or BP and so on and so forth. If a project like that comes in, which is viable, it's linked to the EU and some Dutch renewable energy concepts and so forth. What would be the point of entry towards and its youth and women based as well? Just give me some background in terms of point of entry and who is the person that we contact, or you could even do it offline if you don't want to give details directly. Thank you, Tato.
Okay. Thank you, sir. On franchising, right? As long as you are a registered franchisor, the BP and the steers was just an example, because we have funded businesses outside of the BPs. We have funded the honchos and then the other startup or the newly kids on the block when it comes to franchises. As long as you are registered with the franchising association, then we are able to look into an application that comes through for that franchise. And also another thing that we look at, or we sometimes require from franchises, is the information from the franchising, that your market research, your current success, but if you're a startup, then there will be other requirements that we might ask from the applicant to provide, which then they will have to get it from you. We fund individuals on our side. So unless then you want to partner with us to say, look, if there is a youth-owned business that has applied for franchising your what you call the operations, then you can forward that individual to us, and then we will assess it. But then when we assess that individual, we also assess the sustainability of that franchise, because that's another important thing. We have seen franchises that have gone down, like your Chisanyamas, where we had invested on people that own those in franchises, and then they went down with the franchisor. So we do fund any other franchise as long as registered. And then when we assess the applicant, we also assess the franchisors and the ability to support the applicant, because that is one of the important things on our side, that the franchise must show an ability to support the franchising. And then if you're looking for partnerships, then you can also talk to me through Tato can share the details. Then we can see how we can partner.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair. I would just like Jared to have his opportunity to ask his question. Jared, are you able to speak? Sorry about that. Are you able to speak now? Okay, there we go. You may go ahead, Jared. Okay, I think while Jared is connecting, we have a question here by Lunabo. He's asking, how long does the SEFA application usually take to be approved?
Okay, for you to get what you call just like the first question that came through, it is between 6 to 8 weeks to get a contact from our investment officers or investment analysts from the region. Then thereafter, it's dependent on the nature of your business. Other business can take a month, others can take 3 months, others can take 6 months, but it is between 1 to 6 months, depending on the nature of the business or the amount that has been applied for. But others will take even 2 months to complete.
That's quite a reasonable time period. Thank you for that. We've got an anonymous question here. Does SEFA fund purchasing of land, including irrigation systems and other agricultural equipment? I think you have covered this. Do you just want to confirm?
Not at this current present, because as you know, the land is a debatable issue in our country currently. So with land, we are not involved at this particular moment. But yeah.
Oh, so in other words,
but for building, if he has a building that has what you could want to operate from and has a commercial value, then we do look at your application. But for land, no.
So in other words, the assets you finance are movable assets.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for confirming. We've got an anonymous question again. Can one apply for assistance with building a training center for trade qualifications, like building of compliant venues with suitable workshops?
Can you please repeat that?
Okay, so he's asking, can one apply for assistance with building a training center for trade qualifications, like building of compliant venues with suitable workshops? So this is regarding a training center.
No, not currently. We usually fund, let's say, for space that you're gonna manufacture from.
Okay.
So the training side of things is kind of difficult to prove or to prove that it will be able to afford such, because you must know the building purchase of a building and the build and also constructing something from bottom up. It's not the cheapest thing, and sometimes it can also go above the 15 million threshold that we have. So we are not mostly involved in those. What we find is those that are involved in the construction, maybe construction on behalf of a government institution or a certain company, then you are able to prove through the contract that has been offered that you will be able to pay us back. But the training, it's kind of be difficult at this current moment. Because
Noted.
it's still, it's still at the speculative stage when you say you're gonna have training, because you will still have to get students first. So
Okay.
then how much they're going to pay, how many of them you'll need to break even and stuff like that.
So just a follow-up question on that. Would that mean that having perhaps a list of students that are as perhaps a letter of intent with the number of students can perhaps back up that type of application to say there's a demand?
Honestly, it's kind of difficult to say now, but that doesn't stop them from applying. But the chances of of being funded are very low.
Okay.
But
Okay.
they can still apply. Nothing is stopping them from application, because every application is assessed at its own merit. No application is the same.
Okay, well noted, sir. So that means in what we are driving as a nation is perhaps there's the technology side, and then there's also the manufacturing. So we're encouraging local production, and that would be our main focus in terms of what would be easily accepted, and perhaps logistics.
No, not exactly, Tato. But
Okay.
then it's just one of the leading sectors where we receive application and where it is easy to prove commercial viability. But then the business world is not one size fits all. The new markets coming up, we just have to position ourselves to be able to service them, and also to generate value out of them. But it doesn't stop anyone from applying if they have something that is still new, as long as they can prove the commercial side of things. Because for you to anywhere else to get funding, people fund the commercial side of things, and then the potential comes after.
Oh, okay. Okay, well noted. Thank you. It sounds like everything is it's pretty open for anyone to come in, as long as they have a strong case and prove the commercial viability. I see we are done with questions. Jared, if you can unmute, you may go ahead. Otherwise, just to go into what actually a startup is, if you could just clarify, can I have a business that I've just registered? Can I apply and say, this is the plan that I have from ideation stage? Would that be the level of startup applications that you can look at?
Look, when it comes to startup, there is no one definition. There's plenty of definitions. And also going back to my point that each and every business is judged on its merit. And yes, if you have just registered a business, you are a startup. And also the number of years that you have been operating, and also the type of revenue or the size of revenue you have generated also determines if you're a startup or not. The stage of the business that is you are in, it determines if you're a startup or not. So when we assess your application, we look at that stage, and then we say, okay, no, you are still a startup, you still lack in certain things, then you will categorize you as a startup. Then also for those that are at the growth stage, we will look at all of those kind of things, and then we'll say, look, you are not a startup, you cannot qualify for the startup funding. You have shown the ability of being a growth business. So whether you've just registered now, or whether you have been operating your business, but it has never been registered, and then you're just registered now so that you can start applying for funding and other support, that will also be put into focus when you are applying.
Okay. Thank you so much. It does then confirm that we it's an open field for us. Well, I'm no longer youth, so there's one more question here. Does SEFA fund NPCs?
No, you cannot extend credit to an NPC, but we do support NPCs when they are hosting an event, maybe the event that we can generate value from. We are hosting SMEs, or then you will come through. Just like you have seen me in other events that I'll pull through, we come through and support. You can support through financially or through financial support, not funding. Let's say you want to procure a venue, we'll pay for the venue, or you want catering, we'll pay for catering, as long as we were able to generate, or we see that we will generate some sort of value from your event.
All right, well noted. That's great support. Thank you, sir. So just in parting, as we close, you mentioned that we have a high failure rate. So what would your advice be to young entrepreneurs to actually be resilient in the process and essentially work together with the government to grow and actually be sustainable businesses, knowing that
Not just any advice. For me, on my side, I am advocating for business support. I believe most of our youth need business support before they can get to the financing stage. There has to be more investment on entrepreneurship training, because current moment entrepreneurship is not our culture. It is something that we fell back on when things don't go our way on our academics, or we go on, we become we get our qualifications and then we don't get jobs, and then we fall back on entrepreneurship. I'm saying this entrepreneurship spirit has to be enhanced at an early stage of developing of development for youth, and then in that way, I think we will be able to build resilience, because we have imparted basics into that specific youth. Because even in football, before you become a professional, you go through the stages of development. You have to master the basics, even if you have the talent. But then if you do not master these basics, chances of failing are very high. So if we can do that, then I believe that we can build resilient entrepreneurs. And also my advice directed to the entrepreneurs is that just before you start with the application process, whether it's what you call this, whether you want business support or financial support, assess your business, know what you want before you start with the application process. Do as many research as you can before doing anything, because if you apply for funding, you apply for business support, but you do not know what you want, and then you'll be left behind. But then if you're taking your time, you do research, you jot things down, you collect all the necessary information that is required, for me, that puts you in a better position than most of the people, because we receive thousands of applications and we reject hundreds of applications because of such things, because people will just apply for the sake of applying without putting effort in getting to understand the fund. This information I've shared is available on our website, and other funds that are available at SEFA, and also other institutions like the NYDA, the CEDAs, the TIAs, the GIZs, the national, go on there on those websites, get to understand what those organizations offer, like your black umbrellas. Go and understand what they offer and position your business to receive the assistance that it needs. Do not apply for the sake of applying. And also, when you apply, make sure you have all the required stuff. Other stuff are basic stuff, guys, that you should be having in your business. Like register, if you are registered as a business, always do those returns, even if it's a zero return at SARS. You never operated, you have a registered business. Go on, do that, so that when the opportunity comes, you are first in line. Because when you react at the opportunity, by the time you get your house in order, the opportunity has passed, or the others have benefited before you, and then what is left, and then you got that little that is left or nothing. So that has been what I've observed with most of our youth-owned businesses. Thank you, Tata.
Thank you, sir. Would you like to take the last two questions, or
Yes.
is it fine? Okay, so we're taking these last two questions in the chat. One just popped in. Just if you could please share the screen of the details, as one of them is just asking how to apply. One of our leaders is asking how to apply. So there are the details there. And then we've got it's almost a question based on what you said about not funding side hustles or side businesses. So they're asking what the rationale is of not funding employed individuals. Is it not about feasibility of the business? Example, the individual might not be needed in the day-to-day operations, but more on the management. So they just want to understand that rationale.
Look, the rationale on our side is that our investment has to be looked after. We are closing all the loopholes that might make the business to fail. And we have seen, this is from experience, where the person is not involved in their business and a whole lot of things go down there, and then the business fails. And then when the business fails, it's only not you that fails into the business. Us, with our investment, we lose a lot. So when you are there, we get the comfort that our investment is being looked after, even if things don't go well. But we will say that, look, you have put on your 100% effort. You were there, things did not work out. Other than said, what if you were there? What if you were fully involved? And then the other part is that, guys, when we fund businesses, we're trying to create employment for the people. So if you are, you are working somewhere else and then we fund, you are benefiting twice. And then there are other people that want the same opportunity as you. So you are blocking opportunities for the other people. So you must have one opportunity so that others can benefit with the little resources that are available. So you can choose to be a full-time employee or be a full-time business person if you want people to invest in your business. Unless then you are happy not to get investment from other people, there's nothing stopping you from continuing with being an employee and having another business on the side because of the current economic conditions. And also, another thing when it comes to this thing of not involved, look, you can have a lot of businesses that won't stop us from funding you, but we know once you are employed, 90% of your time will be there. But once you are a business person, you'll be able to shift your time around your businesses. But as an employee, your employer will want you to be there. And in some instances, like government, you cannot be funded by a government institution and still work for the government. That is also not morally, does not morally look good, even if you have good intentions, but from the other people, it won't look good. So as you know, guys, as a government, you always have to be seen to be doing something right.
Yes, definitely. It's also on that note that Tibani is asking a similar question. So Tibani, you're the last one for today. So please go ahead.
Cool. Just checking if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. I think Zoli, to that point around, if you are full-time employed, I think what I wanted to raise is, I mean, currently we are employed in the sense of you need to earn a living, right? And I mean, carry on with your day-to-day and live. But I think that employment currently is what's driving or building our businesses, because we're actually funding, let's say, our startup businesses right now out of our own pockets, and we need that employment to fund that business, right? If we tangibly show that, I mean, we've poured in, let's say, in excess of 200 to 300K into your business out of your own self-funded, and that is from your own current full-time employment, right? Is that not showing that you are obviously fully invested in building a business, but wanting to obviously move away from, let's call it, wherever you are currently employed, so that you can actively get the business going, but I mean, you still need to live day to day. So I think in most cases, I understand, yes, something might be a side hustle for now, but it starts as a side hustle until it matures into a business that you want to then be actively and fully employed in yourself, so that you can grow it to the scale where you can actually even employ other people and unlock further opportunities. So the question was really, again, saying, when we are in that stage where you are still employed, but then you're starting up this business, how do you actually just support? And maybe the question I'm asking here is, if I were to resign today, would you be able to, for instance, help me with a bit of runway for, let's say, a 6-month to a year period financially, so that I can focus fully in a year to support the business and get it to the scale that is required? That's essentially the ask of the question. And I just want to understand, I mean, what kind of possibilities do you guys offer for such instances?
Okay, thank you, sir. I think maybe Zim-clear, the only time that you are required to resign is after we have approved your funding.
Okay.
And then with your funding, we expect you, when you apply for funding, you also integrate your salaries, salary that you earn into that application, so that you can be able to survive. And then also the only time that we will require a resignation letter, when we start with the disbursement process. Okay. And then you must be it must think ahead that when you are resigning, right, you must give yourself a month, say, or you must backdate or future date your resignation. You said, as from this date, I'll be resigning from the company. And then the employer must accept your resignation, said, I accept your resignation. Because as we are saying, some of the businesses were built through the what you call the money that you have generated from working. Yeah. It does not block you from applying, but once we approve the funding, that is when you are required to resign. Once we start the disbursement process, that is when we require you to resign.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Not prior to you can apply now, and then also you working also counts. What you call it counts as an advantage. That means that you have some certain technical expertise that you might be able to impart into your business. 100%. And then yes, and then once then you we have approved you, we'll inform you, and then that's when the process of resignation starts.
All right, cool. Just maybe a follow-up. I mean, obviously, if you leave your full-time employment, you leave certain benefits and certain maybe you get, some compensation for medical aid and all those things. So it's not just the salary. I just want to understand, can those things be factored in as well, in a sense, as part of, let's say, like you're saying, the salary that you would be looking to pay for in the company? Or should it be at a, let's call it what, a reasonable, I don't know what the reasonable amount would be, but I'm just saying, obviously, if you're full-time employed at some organization, you do have some level of benefits and so forth. Just asking if those can be feasibly factored into an application of to SEFA.
Not exactly, but what you must do when you put in that salary, first of all, it must be what you call, your business must be able to afford the salary that you put forward. And then if you're earning a certain amount of salary, that is another thing that we look at, that would you be, if let's say you are required to downgrade, will you do your salary to what the business can afford? Will you be able to live within that salary with all the other benefits that you are foregoing? Those are the things that will form part of the assessment. Because when you, for us, you are employed and you apply for funding, that means you are ready to move, you have to fully focus into your business and then leave the employee. But the salary that you put in, you must be able to afford you. That's all. We also look at that. And also in certain types of businesses, we'll also put a limit that you can draw a salary of up to this much because the business can afford it. And then you are allowed to increase your salary while you are still you still have a loan with us for at this certain rate, or as per the CPI index, and up until a certain time.
All right, sorry, maybe one last question just on top of, or just to close off on that, right? I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, businesses are at various stages. What if your business is not yet at that, I mean, it's generating revenue, but I mean, it's not necessarily at that profitable stage for you, for the business to actually afford your salary. How do we, I mean, I'm assuming that there'd be workarounds for those kind of exceptions or instances.
Yes. Yeah, because also you must remember, when you also apply for funding, applying the approval of the funding, it will move your business to a certain level.
Sure.
Yeah, that can also be looked at. And also other businesses might not be generating revenue now, but then there's a market for them. And then there is a potential after this funding that you will be able to generate a level of revenue that can sustain the business and can enable the business to take care of its operations.
Okay. No, noted. Thank you so much for the feedback. Appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure.
This does show it's quite important to make this transition, and that's why we're receiving these kind of questions where obviously young people are employed, but they do want to run their own business. So that transition is, you know, moving away from the cushion to actually creating one for yourself. So I think that was a valuable discussion there. So thank you very much, Devani. And as we close off, so can you please just confirm if you do fund freelancing businesses, or it would then not fall within the full-time type of business?
Look, if on the freelancing, it goes back to commercial viability. As long as you can prove viability, and from your previous work that you have done, you have shown that, look, I can be able to pay back the money that I will receive.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So with that said, thank you so much for your time, for explaining and taking all the questions. This was very vital for us to understand, really unpack, and just have this engagement. So thank you very much, sir. I just want to also acknowledge that we've got our Soweto chair in the room, and Mr. There you go, Mr. Sipho is still around. So yes, and also if anyone wants to know more information about BMF, I've just dropped it in the chat. And our next webinar would be about the energy, as we spoke about energy sector within townships, and obviously the challenge that we face, so we can efficiently run as businesses. So finding solutions around that. So thank you again, leaders, for joining us in this session. And thank you once again, sir, for this amazing information and for being available to also take follow-up queries. So we'll definitely take that on. So with that said, have a wonderful afternoon and a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Tato, and also thank you to the guys for attending. And then I think I spotted a few questions on the chat. There are other opportunities available at SEFA that are not age specific. You can go to our website. They are there. We have the tab that is focused on the township and rural businesses. We have manufacturing. which is called SEMS. It's a Small Enterprise Manufacturing Support Program, focuses on manufacturing. We have the tourism program we are implementing on behalf of the Department of Tourism. It's there on our website. We just go to direct lending products. You will find it there. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, bye.
Bye.